When Ethan woke up that night, something felt wrong. Not like a nightmare, but like the world itself had stopped breathing. The sound of the rain had vanished. The clock beside his bed glowed faintly at 11:11, but its second hand was no longer ticking. He sat up, confused, rubbing his eyes as silence filled every corner of the room. He glanced at the window. Raindrops hung in midair like tiny crystals frozen in time. The streetlight outside flickered endlessly, never completing its blink. He stepped down barefoot, the floor colder than usual, and walked toward the window. That's when he saw her. Mia, the girl he'd lost 2 years ago in that terrible car crash on a rainy night exactly like this one. She was standing under the flickering light, wearing the same white dress from the night she died, her hair slightly wet, her eyes glowing with the same warmth that had once made him believe love could conquer anything. For a moment, Ethan couldn't move. His heart pounded violently in the quiet stillness as he whispered her name. She smiled, that familiar smile he had memorized in his dreams, and slowly raised her hand to the glass as if asking him to come closer. Ethan didn't think. He ran. Down the stairs, through the front door, out into the motionless rain, every drop hanging in the air like a million mirrors reflecting his fear and disbelief. When he reached her, she was real. Cold but breathing, her lips parted gently as she said, "We don't have much time, Ethan. Time's running out for you." He didn't understand. The world was frozen, yet her words carried sound, echoing inside his chest. She reached out, touched his face, and a rush of memories hit him. The crash, the promise he made to never forget her, the moment he screamed into the night that he'd give anything for one more minute with her. That's when he realized what was happening. The clock had stopped because time itself had given him that one last minute. A wish granted by something beyond his understanding. But Mia's face looked pained, her eyes filled with both love and sorrow. She said softly, "Ethan, this isn't life. It's what you asked for, one more chance to say goodbye." He trembled, unable to accept that she was here only for a moment. "I don't care," he whispered, "I just want to hold you again." And as he wrapped his arms around her, the world around them began to shimmer, the air bending like light through water, reality trembling as if it couldn't hold their love anymore. Ethan could feel Mia's heartbeat against his chest, slow and steady like the rhythm of a fading song. It felt real, warmer than any dream he'd ever had. But something about the air around them was shifting. The still rain began to move in tiny tremors, droplets vibrating softly as though time was struggling to wake up. Mia looked up at him with tears glistening in her eyes and said, "Every time you dreamt of me, I could hear you. Every time you cried for me, I felt it. That's why I came." Ethan's breath caught as her voice quivered with something deeper than pain, a longing from somewhere between life and death. He brushed a strand of hair from her face and said, "You didn't come back, Mia, I pulled you here." Her smile faded. "And by doing that, you trapped yourself," she said. "You weren't supposed to find me again, Ethan. Time isn't meant to stop." He shook his head, refusing to let go. "Then let it stop forever," he said desperately. "If this is all I have, I want it to last." For a moment, it seemed like time listened. The wind held its breath again. The lights dimmed, but the world began to fracture. Buildings flickered like old film reels, the road beneath their feet turned translucent, and cracks of light spread across the sky. Mia's voice trembled as she whispered, "You can't. Stay here, Ethan. Every second you hold me, your time is being taken away." His chest tightened with fear. "I don't care," he said. "I'd rather die in this moment than live without you again." Mia cupped his face, tears streaming down her cheeks now. "No," she whispered. "You promised you'd live for me." Ethan looked deep into her eyes, realizing she wasn't fighting for herself, she was fighting for him. The love between them wasn't meant to keep them together, it was meant to remind him to move on. But he couldn't, not yet. As thunder rolled silently across the sky and the rain finally began to fall again, Mia leaned in and kissed him softly. For that one kiss, time held still again, bending under the weight of their love. The world around them vanished into a blur of light and darkness, leaving only two hearts beating against eternity. And just as Ethan began to lose himself completely, Mia's voice echoed faintly, "When the clock moves again, I'll be gone. Don't stop it this time." The first sound Ethan heard after Mia's whisper was the faint tick of the clock, slow and uncertain, like the heartbeat of the universe remembering how to breathe. The frozen rain began to fall again, each drop striking the ground with a soft echo that rippled through the silence. The world was restarting, piece by piece, but Mia's touch was fading from his skin. He clung to her hand desperately, refusing to let her vanish, his eyes wide with panic as her outline began to glow softly, her body becoming light itself. "No, Mia, please," he cried, his voice breaking. "You can't leave me again." She smiled gently, her tears shimmering like tiny stars. "You kept your promise, Ethan. You found me. But this moment isn't meant to last forever. It's time for you to live again." Ethan shook his head violently. "I can't. Not without you." The sky began to pulse with white light, time accelerating around them. Cars roared back to life in the distance, lights flickered, and the world's heartbeat quickened, but Ethan and Mia stood in a circle of stillness, the last fragment of the broken timeline. Mia stepped closer and pressed her forehead against his. "Do you remember what you said before the accident?" she whispered. Ethan closed his eyes, and memories crashed into him. The rain, the sharp turn, her laughter before everything went dark. "I said I'd never let time take you away," he murmured. "And you didn't," she replied softly. "You stopped time for me. But every second we've spent here has taken away your tomorrow. If you don't let me go now, you'll disappear too." Ethan's breath trembled as he realized what she meant. He wasn't supposed to be here. The world had frozen because he had unconsciously traded his future to bring her back. His heartbeat slowed, his vision dimming. Mia could see it too, her eyes filled with terror. "No, Ethan, please don't fade," she whispered, holding his face in her hands. "I can't lose you like this." The universe seemed to tilt, time folding in on itself as both of them began to blur at the edges. And in that collapsing silence, Ethan whispered, "Then kiss me, Mia. One last time. Let time end with us." Their lips met in a kiss that burned brighter than the light around them, love clashing with destiny. The world around them shattered into fragments of gold, and for a moment, everything stopped again. Ethan felt warmth flooding his body, not pain, not fear, just peace. He heard Mia's voice like a lullaby, saying, "It's not ending, Ethan. It's beginning again, but not here." When Ethan opened his eyes, he was lying in his bed, drenched in sweat, the morning light pouring through the curtains. The clock beside him blinked 11:12. The second hand moved normally now, steady and alive. For a long moment, he didn't move, afraid that if he did, the fragile illusion of her presence would vanish. But the world was real again. The rain had stopped. The air was warm. He sat up slowly, his mind spinning with fragments of what had happened. The kiss, the light, her voice. Was it a dream, a hallucination, or something that existed beyond time itself? His gaze fell on the nightstand, and his heart froze. Her watch, the silver one she used to wear, lay there ticking softly. It was impossible. That watch had been shattered in the accident. He picked it up with trembling hands, and saw an engraving on the back that hadn't been there before, "For the moment that never ends, M." His eyes welled up, and a small, broken smile formed on his lips. He whispered her name, feeling a strange peace settle over him. As he stood near the window, the sunlight caught his reflection, but for a second, another reflection appeared beside his. Mia, smiling, her head resting lightly on his shoulder, like she used to. Ethan didn't turn. He just closed his eyes, letting the warmth of her memory wrap around him. A soft wind blew through the room, fluttering the curtains, and the clock ticked louder, clearer, as if marking a new beginning. Ethan realized that time hadn't betrayed him. It had given him closure, a chance to say goodbye the way he never could. He knew now what she meant when she said, "It's beginning again, but not here." She wasn't gone. She was a part of every second he had left. He stepped outside, feeling the world move again, people laughing, cars rushing by, birds singing. For the first time in 2 years, he smiled without guilt. The sky above shimmered faintly, and for just an instant, he saw a streak of white light across the clouds, the outline of her dress, fading into the horizon. Ethan whispered, "Goodbye, Mia," and the clock on his wrist, her watch, struck 11:13. The minute had passed, but the love remained, timeless and infinite, a heartbeat between worlds that would never stop.